welcome to Physical Therapy, a movie podcast from good friends who are obsessed with their physical media collections. We're here every week talking movies, recommending the newest and latest on 4K, Blu-ray. My name is Kurt.
And I'm Sam.
Our producer Kimberly is also with us tonight. Kim, you've declared that you don't want to speak tonight because you haven't seen any of the movies we're talking about, but You're out there.
Yeah, I'm floating in the ether.
Today is our second volume in our ongoing Shame Pile series. Sam and I both call the pile of movies we've purchased and have yet to watch that version of or even see in the first place our shame piles.
Again, a copywritten and trademarked term.
Exactly. And for today's episode, we each rated our shame piles looking for horror films. So we've each picked two, and then at the end of the episode, we're going to virtually watch a third title that we both have in our piles together, and then get right back on the mics to talk about what we thought. But first, Sam, did you see any movies this week?
Well, before we get into this, I actually have a listener question.
Oh, really?
From my end, yeah. Maybe less of a question and more of a comment. I was asked by a friend of the show to explain what region-free means in terms of Blu-ray discs and 4K discs. You know, we try to make this show as accessible for anybody listening and who cares. But when we say a region-free disc, or if it's region-locked, Blu-rays and DVDs are region-coded to the country where you purchase them. North America and Canada is region A, Europe is region B, and I believe Asia is region C. If you buy a normal Blu-ray player from Best Buy in North America, that will be locked to region A. So by buying a region-free player, it allows you to watch discs that are manufactured all over the world. 4Ks, for the most part, are region-free by nature. So if you're getting into collecting, you should always look at this stuff, and sites like Orbit and Diabolic DVD are really good about highlighting what region code a disc has. Do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, so one of the best parts of 4K, like you said, was that they kind of did away with that. So suddenly international imports became way more accessible to the average consumer who doesn't have a region-free player, because they're available, but they're not that easy to find, I guess.
They're easy to find online. You're not going to go into really like a Best Buy or a Target or
exactly
like a big box store where you would get a Blu-ray player from and be able to find a region-free one.
Yeah, I don't personally have a region-free player yet.
One of the fun things about collecting and one of the fun things about getting a region-free player is that whichever version or cover or anything like that in a movie that I'm drawn to, I can buy whichever version I like the best because I don't need to worry about the region coding.
There you go.
I hope that clarifies it, gang. So anyway, back on track. My week was a little busy with work, but I ended up watching Mad Max Fury Road. I watched that yesterday to get ready for Furiosa.
Nice.
Still a great looking Blu-ray, still a great movie. I do think I will eventually upgrade that to the 4K disc that exists. And I was able to go catch Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes in theaters.
What'd you think?
I thought it was pretty cool. I think it's a little too long. I think that like going forward in that franchise, I'm a little bit more interested in the story that the end kind of hints at rather than this story in particular. But it's a fine movie.
Promising.
Promising, yeah. That's a good word.
Yeah, I can't wait for Furiosa. I feel like my expectations are where they should be based on the things I've heard. So
I got my IMAX ticket.
Nice. Yeah, we're going as well.
I'm excited, actually. I get to do it like a 1-2 punch of Furiosa on Friday and T2 on 35 millimeter film on Saturday.
Ooh, where's that playing? The Hollywood?
The Hollywood, yeah.
Damn, that's awesome.
Yeah, should be a fun weekend.
I don't think I've ever seen T2 on the big screen.
I've been thinking about this. The Hollywood has shown it a couple times, but I've been out of town or busy every time that they've shown it. So I'm excited to see it on the big screen, and then the film is just an added kind of benefit.
And it won't suffer from all of the physical media release controversies.
Truly.
Last night, we had our friends over who are even more obsessed with Leonardo DiCaprio than we are. And we hooked a VCR up to our projector and watched a VHS that we had found at a Reckless Records on a recent trip to Chicago. That VHS is called Leonardo, King of the World. It's released by Deco Entertainment.
Ooh, I wonder whatever happened to them.
And I'm going to read you the back. Now, for the first time, this long-awaited biography takes an up-close and personal look at the star of Titanic, including exclusive interviews in Hollywood with his childhood friends, accompanied by never-before-seen photos. This is a rare and special opportunity to meet the real Leonardo.
How was it?
So
Oh, so bad.
so bad. It was like a child directed it.
Should we get it to a Walgreens and see if they can transfer it onto a DVD or a Blu-ray for us?
I actually could do that. I have the technology.
Incredible.
I'm noticing right now that nowhere on the packaging of this VHS do they use his last name.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember this? Like if you were really into like The Doors or like Fleetwood Mac or something, you would go to Best Buy and there would be these unofficial like history CDs of them like in their CD section.
Okay.
And they used to do DVDs and VHSs for like stars, but they were completely
Like unauthorized. Yeah.
yes, unauthorized and unofficial, so they couldn't ever use the full name. So it was these like almost bootleg kind of weird things that they were just being sold on the popularity of this thing that you already know ultimately.
Yeah.
Exactly. The people interviewed in this documentary are like kids that he seemed to have known when he was probably like 4 or 5 years old.
Yeah. And it's like they sold all these like family photos of him.
Yeah. It was absolutely atrocious and hilarious.
Was it a major pain in the ass to get the VCR hooked up to your projector?
No, I've done it before. They make like a pretty easy RCA to HDMI converter.
Okay.
And that's pretty much it. It was actually inspiring. I need to look into more VHS exclusives because it was very watchable, you know. It looked
It was really fun.
That's fun. VHS is one of those things where like, you know, sometimes if I'm at a vintage shop or an antique mall or something and I see like a great cover of a movie that I like on VHS, I'll like consider buying, but I just do not have the space for it at all.
Yeah.
At all.
But yeah, pretty light week for us, to be honest. It didn't stop me from acquiring 50 new things. But any announcements, Sam, that you heard about?
Well, Blue Underground, it was kind of an announcement, kind of an updated announcement. They have a movie, an Italian movie from 1973 called High Crime with Franco Nero that is apparently a really kind of known, crazy Italian crime movie. They still haven't dated it, but they gave more details on the release of that, and they provided a restored original trailer. So that kind of popped onto my radar again, which I'm pretty excited about.
Yeah, I'm excited too. That looks really cool.
I don't know how much I care about this in any way, but Kino announced that they are preparing a 4K of The General's Daughter with John Travolta.
What's up with The General's Daughter? This is like a Travolta
1999 like kind of
military courtroom thriller,
yeah. All I remember, my mom rented this movie probably in like 99 2000 from the Blockbuster by our house, and myself, my older brother, and her watched it one night, and this is fucking insane, but it's the first time I ever saw a dildo. There's a shot of a dildo in that movie, and I just remember being like, what is that?
Wow.
So that's all I remember about The General's Daughter. Probably tight. Have you seen it?
I don't think so. I think it's got some pretty intense like sexual violence in it, and I remember being like, it was like banned when I was a kid from the Blockbuster rental list.
So if you guys really want to see The General's Daughter on this show, start your petitioning now.
Yeah. We also heard Criterion announcements. The two I was most excited for were Real Life and Mother, the Albert Brooks movies. Kim, do you know those ones?
I know Mother really well. It's very sweet. I mean, it's Debbie Reynolds and Albert Brooks.
Real Life is 79. I think it's 1979. It's his first film.
Criterion seems to be kind of on an Albert Brooks tear lately. They've been putting out a lot of his movies.
We'll take them.
I'm a huge fan.
Yeah, they're doing a 4K of The Last Emperor, the Bertolucci movie.
Which I think Arrow just did in the UK.
What else? There was something else.
All my time and effort went to trying to remember what this dildo looked like in The General's Daughter.
Kim, have you seen The Lady from Shanghai?
Yes, I love it.
Cool. Orson Welles?
Oh, it's so good. Yeah, it's Rita Hayworth and Orson Welles.
Sony is doing a 4K of that.
Oh my God, we have to get it. We must get it. It's one of my favorites.
Great.
It's like chilling. Beautiful photography as well.
Ooh. July 23rd, that is scheduled for. That's exciting.
Yeah, that's cool.
We also heard there will be a regular Blu-ray of Challengers.
Yeah, kind of bummed.
Yeah, pretty bummed that there's no 4K of that. Perhaps internationally there will be, and maybe eventually in the US. And Sam, we saw a update to the Twister 4K that there will be a standard non-steelbook version.
Hey.
But I gotta say the artwork is kind of a drag.
Yeah, Kurt and I talked about this briefly yesterday. He was like, well, good news is that you're getting your non-steelbook version. The bad news is the steelbook art is so much better. And I looked him up and he is right. The steelbook art is way better.
I have both pre-ordered and I will cancel one, but I'm not sure which.
Do we hope or maybe think that some companies sometimes have a reversible cover on Blu-rays? It'd be nice if the original art was on a reversible cover, but I doubt it.
I think this is too much of just a standard studio release, you know?
Man, when are we just turning this podcast into the Bill Paxton podcast?
Say the word.
Dude, just go on a tear.
Maybe when we're done with our Arnold project.
Frailty.
Ooh, baby.
Those were demons. Why can't you see that? All right, should we get shameful?
Yeah, baby.
I'm excited to see what you picked.
Yeah, the specific assignment, once again, is horror films from our shame piles. And I had several to choose from, Sam.
Myself included.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Was there any strategy to the ones you chose?
I tried to go with maybe a little bit more well-known ones that were kind of glaring holes in my ongoing horror project of just, seeing as many horror movies as I can.
Cool.
I didn't want to go to super obscure, so with the hopes that people have probably seen these movies that I'm going to talk about. I started with probably, like 25 in a pile.
Oh, wow. Well, kick us off, Sam.
Okay, so I'm going to go chronologically again. On Tuesday, this past Tuesday, friend of the show, Trav B, came over and we threw on Bill Lustig's 1980 slasher exploitation movie, Maniac.
Maniac. I've never seen this.
It's so crazy that I hadn't seen it either. This is a movie that I've known about for years. I don't know how I just never saw it, but it is like a gross, old exploitation New York movie. Cool.
Is it a Blue Underground?
It is Blue Underground. I believe William Lustig owns that company and runs it.
Yes.
So this is a movie that he directed, put out by his own company. I will also admit that this movie has been in my shame pile for so long that I bought the Blu-ray when it was brand new, and the 4K already exists and is out at this point.
Yeah. Has been out for years, I think.
Yeah. Honestly, this has probably been in my shame pile for about 9, if not 10 years.
Wow.
Which is
so give us like a little bit of a, yeah, that's pretty fucked up.
That's insane.
Give us a little bit of a top line on Maniac.
So I have the IMDb pulled up right now, and literally their description of the movie is a psychopathic man goes on a killing and mutilation spree in New York City.
Great. Pretty
straightforward, pretty messed up, definitely uncomfortable for sure. A lot of uncomfortable scenes in it. Acted honestly incredibly by Joe Spinell, who plays the main character. People would recognize him he's actually like the street level gangster that Rocky works for in the first Rocky movie. Like I said, it's 1980. It's that gnarly New York exploitation. Great shots of the city when that city still looked dangerous and felt dangerous. Just like a pretty classic exploitation movie. I don't want to ruin it if anybody hasn't seen it, but if you like that kind of thing, it's definitely worth watching. Some wild kills in this movie.
Legendary movie poster.
Yes. And this is actually we talked about this many episodes ago, but I have an original Maniac movie poster that's downstairs. I just need to get it framed.
Is it the one sheet?
It is the one sheet. It's the teaser poster. So all it says is it's black with white and red lettering. Maniac, the title's in red, and the white lettering is, I warned you not to go out tonight.
But it's not the one with the guy holding his severed head?
No. Just it's just that teaser image.
How did it look on Blu-ray?
It looked really good. This is a 4K transfer. It was a new transfer for the Blu-ray, loaded with special features, including a third disc of the score on CD, which is funny. I don't know when I would ever just throw that on in my car, but
That's pretty standard for Blue Underground. The special edition versions almost always come with the soundtrack.
yeah, it's got a lentacular cover, so it looks a little 3D when you look at it. I'm really happy to have finally seen it. It feels a bit silly for it to have taken as long as it has. I really enjoyed my time with it. I think I liked it a little bit more than Trav B did, but we had a good time.
How many times over the last 9 years did you look at it and decide not to watch it?
Well, it's like, again, it's one of those movies that I just heard so much about, and I would always pick it up, be like, I don't know, this seems a little too fucked up for right now. And not that it isn't, but I definitely had built it up in my mind as something that it didn't necessarily become.
Yeah.
But yeah, it had been one that I'd passed over many times. What's nice is that it's like a little bit thicker than a normal Blu-ray case. So it's like getting it off the shelf relieves a little bit of space on there.
When I asked you what your strategy was, I was really hoping you were going to say I picked the thickest ones I could find to make my shame pile smaller.
Truly. I mean, that is the road that I am on right now.
Yeah. We're sick people, Sam. I am going to start with a film from 1988, directed by George Romero.
Ooh.
Called Monkey Shines.
Hell yeah,
this?
dog.
Have you seen Monkey Shines?
I've seen Monkey Shines. Monkey Shines fucking rips.
Monkey Shines is about a college track star / law student named Alan, who within the first 3 minutes of this movie is hit by a car and paralyzed. His good friend Jeffrey works at an animal research laboratory and is secretly injecting his monkeys with a serum to make them smarter. And Jeffrey gives Alan like a service monkey and doesn't tell him about this secret serum. And so Alan and his service monkey become very close. The service monkey is very helpful for Alan, who's, wheelchair bound.
Not just wheelchair, but he's a quadriplegic at this point. He can't move.
Quadriplegic, yes.
Yeah.
And little by little develops would we call it like a telekinetic relationship with this monkey?
That's definitely a part of it, but also the monkey pretty much starts falling in love with him.
Uh-huh. And then the monkey starts killing people who Alan has beef with.
And this is like the type of monkey that like Ace Ventura has in those movies.
Uh-huh.
Like a smaller kind of shoulder-sized monkey, if you will.
This is a fun one because while I would say, yes, it's a horror movie, it takes a long time for that stuff to really start kind of coming into play. So you find yourself kind of settling into a 80s kind of cheesy or sort of drama.
It's fun. I mean, I saw this. I was obsessed with Romero's zombie trilogy in high school. This was one of the first, I feel like, post Night, Dawn, Day trilogy that I saw one of his movies. I remember thinking the same thing that you're saying, Kurt, where I was like a little bored when I first watched it. And then when it gets going, it's just like, it's awesome. The monkey's like carrying a scalpel around at one point. It's like stabbing people. It's awesome. I love this movie. I really think this movie's like a wild little fun time.
Yeah. And it's very believable. Like there's all real monkeys, good effects and a fun cast. You've got Stephen Root and Stanley Tucci in kind of small roles in this movie.
Stephen Root's in it?
Yeah.
Wow. I can't picture him at all.
He's the boss of the friend who's working at the animal clinic. And the lead, his name's Jason Beige, I think is how you pronounce it. But I was convinced I'd never seen him before. And then after it was over, I Googled him and he's like one of the main, from what I remember, subjects of Going Clear, the documentary. So he's like a reformed Scientologist who's like one of the main people they interview in that movie.
Wow. He got all that monkey money and just fell right into the church.
It happens to the best of us. So yeah, if people are looking for kind of a fun 80s, it's not that scary. It's a little violent.
It's like campier than anything else. The story of Monkey Shines seems like a Stephen King story.
It definitely does. I thought about that while watching it. I even looked it up, I think.
Well, in Romero, he did Needful Things shortly after. Needful Things might be the movie he does after Monkey Shines, which is a Stephen King novel.
And didn't he do some of Creepshow?
Well, he directed all of Creepshow.
Oh yeah, all of it.
Yeah. So they clearly had a relationship, the two of them, and it seems like kind of a silly, campy Stephen King story. Did you get the is it Umbrella who put this out recently?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I got the same copy. I've not watched it. I mean, I've seen the movie many times, but I've not watched this copy of it yet.
One thing that's kind of fun about them is I believe all of their discs are region free, but they're not labeled that way. They say region B, but in fact are region free. So when I got it, I was like, oh shit, I screwed up. But then I went down a little Reddit deep dive because it was advertised as being region free when I bought it. And in fact, it is.
On the Umbrella site, there's some titles that I've been eyeing. There's a cool like Ozploitation box set of like lesser known horror movies from Australia. It looks pretty cool.
Yeah, I really like Umbrella. My buddy Roy had recommended this movie to me, in particular that it had a really underrated and great ending. He's not wrong. The ending is shocking in Monkey Shines. And shout out to Roy. Thanks for the recommendation.
I honestly don't remember it. I'm going to watch that disc probably this week. I'm excited to see what it is.
The performance from Jason Beige is like really good. I think he's phenomenal in it. He has a very bad fake beard for part of it, but
oh yeah,
he really is great. It's very fearless. I think some of the stuff he does in this, it's pretty cool.
I mean, as silly as this sounds, I also remember the monkey being like great in it.
Great monkey. That's what I'm saying. These monkeys in this movie, they're really amazing. All right, Sam, what else? What was your second watch?
Okay, so I hopped from 1980 to 1991 and watched a movie called Body Parts. This movie stars Jeff Fahey, and it's directed by Eric Red. Frank Mancuso Jr. produced this movie, and he produced a lot of the Friday the 13th sequels, and I believe his dad produced the original Friday the 13th. So this is a movie about a psychologist, like a criminal psychologist, who gets in a really bad car accident on his way to work and ends up losing his arm. While in the hospital, a doctor approaches his wife and says, like, there's this experimental new surgery that we can give him, like an arm donor that will work just as well as his normal arm would. And so he gets this arm grafted onto his body, and then the arm turns out to be from a serial killer, and it kind of starts to possess him.
This is like the Treehouse of Horror episode. Hell to pay.
I do think that is a ripoff of this movie. Or, I mean, The Simpsons did this a lot, but I do think that is.
In that episode, Homer gets a hair transplant from
Snake, right?
Snake, and becomes a killer.
I gotta say, this movie fucking rules.
Ooh, fun.
I loved this movie. I picked up the imprint disc of Body Parts a couple months ago while I was just perusing around Music Millennium. It looked cool. I like Jeff Fahey. Although I really only think I knew he existed because of Lost.
I love Jeff Fahey.
There's this incredible part in Body Parts where, so he really kind of, the Jeff Fahey character really starts to believe this whole, this arm's turning me bad, I don't know, conspiracy. And so he goes back to see the surgeon and he's like yelling at her. And he's like, you didn't tell me you got this arm from a serial killer. And he holds up, it's this great shot. It's kind of him from the shoulders up, and he holds his right arm up like over his face. He goes, I want this fucking arm off me. It's fucking great, dude. I highly recommend it. I really did have a great time with it.
Sold. There's a Shout version too in the US.
Yeah, I saw that. I really like Imprint. I think that their cases are very nice, and they did a good job with it.
Okay, my number 2 is a movie I'd seen, but not since it was released in 2005. I watched a Blu-ray of The Descent.
Oh, man.
The Descent is about 6 women who go spelunking in Appalachia and pretty quickly find themselves trapped in a cave deep underground in the middle of the woods that is revealed to be...
maybe you should leave it there if people haven't seen it.
Yeah, definitely a movie that plays incredibly if you don't know where it's going. I highly recommend not watching the trailer or anything like that if you have not seen The Descent. And this one is legit so scary.
So scary.
This is like one of the scariest movies I think I've ever seen. I'd seen it before, and I was watching it this morning with a pillow over 3/4 of my face. Like, just my eyes were sticking up, and I was like screaming into the pillow many, many times. Jump scares got me at least 5 times. I mean, this is just gnarly.
I would say this is truly one of the top scariest movies from the 2000s.
Yeah, so gruesome. I watched the unrated cut, which actually has a different ending. Have you seen that unrated one, Sam?
You know, I'm not sure if I have, honestly.
So this Blu-ray is packed. It's really great. They have both cuts of the film, and then there's a third way to watch it, which is like a picture-in-picture experience the whole time that is showing you how they made the movie while you watch it. So you're seeing synced BTS of them filming the scene you're watching happen.
Oh, cool. Okay.
I didn't watch the whole thing like that, but I checked it out a little bit, and it's super informative. It's really cool.
Is the disc a studio release, or did a smaller label put it out?
It's Lionsgate.
I got to pick that up, honestly. It's one of those movies that a lot of people in my life or friends really love this movie, and it's one that I've been meaning to rewatch for a long time and just haven't. So what better time than now, you know?
It's affordable. I got it on Orbit, but it seems like...
I'm sorry, did you say it's a DVD or, excuse me, a Blu-ray or a 4K?
A Blu-ray.
Cool.
I got it on Orbit, and it's on Amazon or wherever for, I think, $10.
As Kurt said, the less you know about it, the better. But man, when it gets going, it's foot on the gas. It's great.
It's scary. It's so scary. It's aged pretty well. There are some effects and things like that, unfortunately, that are a little obvious. But for the most part, I was thrilled to return to it. And we'll probably wake up screaming tonight, Kim, just so you know.
Cool.
For our number 3, Sam and I have agreed on a title that is in both of our shame piles. It's in my shame pile because Sam talked me into buying it.
It's in my shame pile because I talked myself into buying it too.
We're going to hop off the mics right now and watch the 1999 Arnold Schwarzenegger film End of Days, which...
Hell yeah, dog.
is, I think, technically a horror movie. Neither of us have seen this. I don't fully know what to expect here, but it's there's some demons, I think, in this movie or something like that.
And full disclosure, I have seen this. I saw this in theaters when it came out. I remember absolutely nothing about this movie.
Damn, that's a young. You were what, 11?
Yeah. Yeah.
I would not have been taken to see this in 1999, so I'm jealous.
You know what's funny is that I think this is one of those movies that because Arnold was in it, it was just like, oh, that's got to be appropriate.
Yeah.
Who cares about the rating? And he was just such a household name at that point.
Kim, are you going to watch this with us?
I might walk in and out on it and check it out because I am curious as to what... I have no idea what this movie is about.
Okay, well, we're going to watch this movie and we'll be right back. If you want to do the same, go ahead and pause and check out End of Days, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, and we will be right back in the future. The future, the future, the future. Okay, it's been 2 hours and 3 minutes since you've heard our voices. Sam and I just watched the 1999 action thriller.
Oh my God.
Devil thriller End of Days, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger. Sam, let's start with give this movie like a letter grade. Let's do 3, 2, 1, and then we both give it a letter grade.
Okay.
Ready? 3, 2, 1. A minus.
C minus.
Oh, baby. Okay, you go first.
Oh, I don't even know. What did we just watch?
Let's talk about what this movie's about.
Okay, for sure. It starts in 76?
I think 79.
Okay.
It's 20 years. 20 years have passed.
Okay. So it starts in 79. We get a flashback to, if you're familiar with The Omen, it's very similar to that, where it starts in a hospital and a woman is giving birth. And there are definitely a lot of moving parts to that birth. There's religious overtones. There's people moving around. Babies are being switched or maybe not being switched.
Well, the movie starts in the Vatican, technically.
Oh, excuse me. You're right.
Which isn't the Vatican. It's like the Los Angeles Theater downtown. I will note it's not the Vatican. And there's all these, bishops or whoever, and they're like,
is it the Pope? Is the Pope there?
I believe that's the Pope, yeah.
Who's played by the guy in Breaking Bad who's like wheelchair bound with a bomb strapped to him.
Yep.
That guy.
The moon has shown some symbol, and it's basically like a prophecy that what is she, like a dark angel antichrist?
Yeah, it's kind of confusing. So basically, after the scene Kurt's talking about, it cuts to the hospital, but it's that somebody is going to give birth today to a woman who is primed to be the mother of the devil's child.
So it's like Rosemary's Baby, but Rosemary is born, essentially.
Yeah.
And they do some satanic shit to this baby. They like feed it rattlesnake blood. Udo Kier feeds it rattlesnake blood, which is pretty tight.
In the basement of a hospital.
In the basement
of a hospital.
Then 20 years go by, and it's New York City, 1999, on the eve of Y2K.
Yeah.
And not only is there anxiety about devil shit in this movie, there's anxiety about Y2K, which was
There's a line in this movie, and they're like, it's a radio DJ, and he's like, all right, New York, 3 days before the end of the century, 3 days before this, 3 days before every computer stops working. It's a line in the movie.
One time when I was 11, we were watching the news, and they were talking about the potential of Y2K being like a thing. And I started crying because I was so scared. Good thing I didn't see this in the theater. That's a true story.
Yeah. That's...
So
what, we were 12 when Y2... Yeah, so you were 1 year away from that happening?
It was 99. Yeah, I mean, like it was coming up. It was basically when the End of Days events were happening.
Incredible.
Little Kurt was crying.
Incredible.
Somewhere. So it's 99, and Schwarzenegger is a former cop turned like security, high profile private security. He's suicidal. In the first scene, you see him make breakfast, and that breakfast includes taking coffee, last night's half a glass of beer,
Pepto-Bismol.
Yeah, Pepto-Bismol, last night's Chinese leftovers, and like a piece of bread off the floor.
It's pizza, but yeah.
Pizza. Yeah. He puts it in a blender, blends it all together, and says breakfast is the most important meal of the day, and drinks it, and then goes off on to work.
Yep.
So that's who Arnold plays. And essentially the devil...
I mean, yeah, it's basically the devil has to sleep with this woman between the hours of 11 and 12 on New Year's Eve to bring about the rise of hell / like the end of days for humanity.
And the devil basically like comes out of the sewers of New York City as a invisible predator looking like see-through whatever.
Yeah, it's like, think of the Shimmer from Predators.
Yeah.
Or from Predator.
And that Shimmer inserts himself into a random man, and that man is Gabriel Byrne. And then Gabriel Byrne is the devil in this movie, and he's very good and entertaining as being the devil.
Oh, he's the best part without a doubt. He was great. I was loving him in this.
Big time. And so Schwarzenegger and his partner Kevin Pollak, shout out, are basically like on the hunt to find this young woman who the devil's after, and then Schwarzenegger is, tasked with sort of protecting her from both the devil and kind of Christians who are essentially trying to kill her before the devil can find her. This movie's awesome.
This movie is insane, man. This movie is fucking out there.
It was better than I thought it would be.
Is it really? Okay, it's worse than I thought it would be.
Oh, wow. I had always heard it was really bad, so I guess my expectations were quite low. What are you looking for here that's not here?
No, yeah, totally. It's funny because it's this... I mean, we've talked about it on the show a couple times, but just since we've started doing this Arnold project has really come out of both of us. And so watching this and The Sixth Day and other Arnold movies that we haven't seen or haven't seen in a long time, it's this weird thing of I guess I don't know what I was looking for, but it's just It's crazy to me that it's like this and The Sixth Day and maybe one other movie right before he becomes governor. Like this is really the end of the first stage of his acting career. You know, neither this or The Sixth Day were massive hits, at least not like he had in the 80s. There are scenes in this movie that are so hard, that are trying so hard to be these big action set pieces like he was known for in the 80s. Like there's a helicopter scene in this movie, which is the most like ridiculous thing in the world and almost, dare I say, doesn't work.
The whole thing doesn't really work, but it is this really interesting crossover between an 80s Arnold movie or, you know, a traditional Arnold movie, action movie, and some pretty gnarly, like, gruesome satanic horror. And it's like the combo is wrong. It's like Arnold is like weird. It's a weird narrative for him to be like inserted into this like rescue mission, macho sort of protector amidst like there's some scares in this movie that made me jump. Like I jumped out of my seat when there's a scene where this priest is in the hospital recovering and the devil comes to see him and kills him in his hospital bed by basically like engraving his whole body with satanic writings. And he like crucifies him essentially to the ceiling with scalpels. And they come in and they find this guy. And a belt, and they come in and find this guy nailed to the ceiling, essentially, and they bring him down, and they're, like, reading all this writing on his body, and then he like, jumps back to life suddenly, and I knew it was going to happen. They're dragging it out too long, where you're like, oh, you're going to scare me, aren't you? And then they did it, and it worked. It's tonally just, like, very strange, but could you point to another movie like it?
No, probably not. Well, maybe, you know, with a little bit of time. I hear what you're saying, and I do agree with you. I think there are some parts of it that it is this weird blend of action, horror, and like really like trying to be 80s action, but with like a lot of 90s horror sensibilities. Like there are parts of this movie that look like The Haunting. There's parts of this movie that look like, you know, like Dracula 2000. Like it's a strange blend of stuff.
It's sincere too, and it's the horror stuff.
Without a doubt.
That's why I feel like there's nobody like Arnold. And so the answer to the question is like, unless you can point to another one of his movies that's anywhere near this, it's like the answer is kind of no. Like the sincerity of the horror meets an Arnold Schwarzenegger like shoot 'em up.
I also feel the need to point this out. There's a person in this movie who goes by the name of CCH Pounder.
Dude, she is in Psycho 4.
Oh my God.
And something else I just watched.
Yo, I got IMDb
Dude, she's
pulled
tight.
up right here.
She's tight.
She's in Avatar, RoboCop 3, Godzilla King of the Monsters. What you watching these days, dog? 3 Body Problem.
Oh, that was like a huge hit.
Yeah, people loved that. I didn't watch it. I'm not sure. She's in a lot. I mean, literally, she's got 143 acting credits on IMDb.
I'm going to find it. I swear to God, I just saw her again. And
yeah,
like,
I mean...
Oh, yeah. Face Off, baby.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, she rules. She has like a big part in Psycho 4. Like kind of the whole... Have you seen that?
No, I have that Arrow box set from them, but I'm behind on 3 and 4.
The like structure of Psycho 4 is he's on the phone with like a radio... I forget if she's like a radio psychologist or she's a radio journalist interviewing a psychologist, I think, but she's like on the phone with Norman Bates the whole movie. It's kind of like the spine of it, and then it's flashing back and stuff. So she's got this huge role, and she's like smoking cigarettes in her like recording studio. She rules. Anyways,
she's credited as CCH Pounder.
I believe, because as soon as I saw the name, I was like, yeah, I know that name.
It just made me laugh the minute it came up on screen.
This movie is also epic. Like there's really big set pieces.
Yeah, yes, very much so.
I don't know. I just thought my expectations were super low, and happy to own it, Sam. Well, happy to own it. Might check out the commentary, you know.
What I was going to say to you too is that, like, when you said it is very genuine in its horror sensibilities. There are 2 incredibly great deaths in this movie. I mean, there's a lot of them, but there's 2 that really stuck in my mind. One in which almost like a giant John Carpenter, The Thing arm
Yeah.
like rips through somebody's chest, which at that point I was like, oh, yo, this movie is awesome.
Is it Stan Winston?
I did not necessarily see him in the credits, but I would not say that it wasn't. But the other death is somebody gets punched in the face, like, and it goes through their entire head.
Mm-hmm.
And it is, the minute it happened, I was like, and it, as Kurt was saying earlier, like, it's not necessarily a jump scare, but it got me because it's so quick and brutal that it hit me.
Both of those that you're talking about are incredibly quick. They're
yes.
There's no time spent on it. You're just like, oh, shit.
It really does. It happens like hard and fast. I love a movie that can do like an unceremonious death scene. That's just like, hey, this is part of the story and we're moving past it. And this movie does that very well, honestly.
Confirming Stan Winston, creature effects supervisor.
Oh, great. Love it.
There's some really, really fun practical mutilated body stuff.
There are fun parts of this movie because like some of the logic is never really explored. Like at one point, Arnold is in a fist fight with somebody and they're able to lift him off the ground and like throw him through a window and push a piano up against him. And it's a person that you would never think could physically hold their own to Arnold. And it's really never explained or explored in any way. And it's kind of like, yeah, the power of the devil, I guess.
Yeah, we chalk a lot of it up to the power of the devil in this movie.
It does feel very close to The Omen. There are a lot of the same themes and ideas in both those movies.
Is there a good version of The Omen on Blu-ray?
I have just whatever studio, like the studio release of it. And I think it's fine.
Yeah, that's not one I have that I'd like to get.
I feel like that's one of those discs that will, if it's not on 4K yet in any way, it's probably right on the precipice of it.
Yeah. I feel like it should have happened when they did the sequel this year. I did not recognize the actress who plays, her name's Christine in the film, the woman that the devil is after. Do you know what she's from?
Yeah. I mean, immediately I looked her up because I was picturing her in something that I couldn't think of. And
I'm looking now.
What I really knew her from, which is not what I was picturing her from, but what I really knew her from was Empire Records.
Okay.
And then when I looked her up, I was like, oh, well, I would love to say that, oh, well, duh, it's The Craft. But that's not what I knew her from. What I knew her from, which came up on a previous episode, is fucking Vertical Limit.
I've never seen Vertical Limit.
I believe she plays Chris O'Donnell's sister.
Okay. But yeah, The Craft. I recognize her from that for sure.
Her name is Robin Tunney. And the minute she popped up on screen, I was like, oh, what a perfect time capsule to this era of movies.
Mm-hmm.
I think she's really good. I just don't see her very much anymore.
Yeah, me too. The other thing about this movie that I appreciated was it's a pretty emotional performance from Arnold. He's got a lot of backstory. He cries.
Kind of. It's like,
kind of.
He tries to in one scene.
He tries to cry. Is there a more emotional Arnold performance? As soon as he started to try to cry, I was like, oh my God. Like, yeah. I don't think I've ever seen this.
After he was governor, he popped up in a couple movies that were kind of smaller, that were pretty good. I think one is called Aftermath. And I think that's like a post-apocalyptic thriller. And then there's one called Maggie where he plays...
Yeah, Maggie. I remember that.
Yeah, that movie was pretty cool if I remember. I mean, it might suck, but like... And it's... How do you want to quantify emotional? Because I would say like his performance... I mean, as you pointed out in the episode, but like the Kindergarten Cop performance is like... It seems very open and emotional, but it's not the same type of emotion. Like the middle of Kindergarten Cop, when he is there with the kids, it seems like a very raw performance in a weird way.
Yeah, I'm not talking about him making me cry. I'm talking about us watching him literally cry. I think he's great and he delivers emotions, but I just didn't remember ever seeing him literally break down in tears in a movie.
Yeah, I mean, if anybody else knows a movie where he like openly cries in, please hit us up.
Hit us up so we can buy it on Blu-ray.
I do. I really like the Arnold project that the pod has spawned.
Truly unexpected.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, I'm waiting on a package that has raw deal and red heat in it.
Oh, shit.
So anytime you want to go, dog.
No. Okay. Do you have a racer?
No, but let me know when. I watched Eraser within the past 4 years, like on Netflix, and I don't think it's good, but I'm in.
Eraser's cool.
Did you watch it yet?
You're gonna buy it.
The biggest thing I remember from Eraser is the first time that I saw like a grenade filled with nails, and he gets a nail in his hand while he's like protecting
Oh shit.
Somebody.
There's a great suit up scene in this movie in End of Days.
Oh yeah.
He's got like color coded grenades.
Yep.
It's just like, it's so weird. It's just like, it's like bouncing between being a movie about the devil and then a movie about Arnold Schwarzenegger like suiting up with color coded grenades to go fight the devil.
Mm-hmm.
And dude, yes.
There is. So in the suit up scene, he goes into his work as, again, he works in private security. He goes into like the security headquarters of his work.
Mm-hmm.
His boss goes, "What are you doing here?" Follows him into the armory where Arnold takes 40 grenades and like 16 guns.
Yep.
And then Arnold's like, "Don't worry about it." And he leaves. And his boss does absolutely nothing.
Doesn't call anyone. Doesn't put it in a file.
I looked up the director right before we sat back down, and he has got a title under his belt that is on my wish list, so I don't know if I should point it out yet.
Oh shit, okay.
But the minute I saw that he had directed that movie, I was like, oh shit.
He, interestingly, is also the DP of this movie.
Yeah, I saw that in the credits, totally.
Which is a pretty rare thing, especially for a movie this scale. There are DPs turned directors, but I should know the answer to this, but I don't know if I could like immediately tell you another example. Like,
well, I mean,
Paul
you
Thomas
have
Anderson.
like you have like Soderbergh, and
yeah,
I think Ty West shoots a lot of his own movies, but those are
oh really?
Yeah. You rarely see it on movies this big. This was a big, I mean, I don't know if this movie made any money, but they spent money making this movie.
Part of like my excitement about it is just also that fact. It was bigger budget than I thought it would be. It's a movie that like if I was older in 99 and not crying about the possibility of Y2K like being scary, I would have seen this in the theater and been all about it.
You think so?
But let's look. Oh damn. How much do you think this movie cost?
Well, I mean, it looks like it's shot in New York.
And a lot of LA, but
yes,
for New York. But yeah, definitely. They certainly shot in New York.
Yes. So 99, 70 million bucks.
100.
Wow. Okay. And
it made 212.
Wow. So it was a success.
More successful than I would have expected.
Well, it's also at like a 5 out of 10 on IMDb, and like,
that's a mistake.
They list the Metacritic score, and I think it's at 58 or something. So it's not necessarily like super well loved or beloved in any way.
Until tonight.
There's some insane parts of this movie. I mean, again, within the first 6 minutes, they feed a fucking baby rattlesnake blood. It's like...
Dude, that scene is scary.
Yeah, it's weird. It's cool.
I don't know if they killed a snake, but it seems like they might have, and it is very effective. Jeez, I was afraid. I was in. I mean, I'm taking my A- up to an A.
It is funny because it's one of those movies that we watched together, virtually watched together, and I was like, I wonder what Kurt thought about this, and kind of my opinion on keeping the movie or not. I was like, it'll depend on the conversation we have post this movie. I'm 36 years old. I don't know the next time that I'm just like, I'm throwing on End of Days. But if I sell it now, in 10 years, whenever I like go and tear through Arnold's filmography again, and End of Days is completely Like, you cannot find it
It's
anywhere.
like a $300 Blu-ray by then.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, so yeah, it'll probably go on the shelf, right next to the sixth day. I think that's the combo, right? It goes end of days into the sixth day.
Yes, it goes.
Oh my God. Does it go Eraser, end of days, sixth day?
Eraser, Jingle All the Way, Batman and Robin,
Oh my God.
End of Days, Sixth Day, Collateral Damage.
What year is Batman and Robin?
97.
Oh, Eraser's earlier than I thought.
Eraser's 96. Yeah.
Okay. I thought it was 98.
Junior right into Eraser.
Wow. So I guess the next logical step from here is that we all need to buy Collateral Damage and sit through that fucking travesty.
I've never seen it, and I'm looking for it. When I go to Amoeba, I'm looking for it. They have a 2-pack, maybe even on the same disc, you know what I mean? Or like, there's probably 2 discs inside of it, but it's like a split sort of double feature studio release Blu-ray of Eraser, I think, and Collateral Damage. But I don't like those. I always want the like single releases.
Sure. I think the only one that I own right now is a Shaun of the Dead Hot Fuzz 2-pack.
Yeah.
And actually, that's not true. I have a Kill Bill 2-pack, but that seems like the same thing.
Yeah, that seems okay. All right. Did we do it?
Yeah, I think so.
In 10 years, when I text you, are we watching End of Days? You better still have this.
Dude, all right. It'll go on the shelf. But I need you to pick up the sixth day and hit me up for a viewing of it.
I got the big box 2-pack 4K of Conan the Barbarian, and I've never seen them.
I've never seen him either. Honestly, that has been... I think it's still available. It's one of those ones that I've kind of sadly overlooked, and it seems like a mistake.
I would get on it. I think they're going. The single releases are definitely gone. Of the big box ones.
Okay.
I got the big box 2-pack.
That has, and it's both 4Ks, right?
Correct, yeah.
Yeah.
God, we need help.
Send me Arnold or send me death at this point.
Okay, Sam, before we go, let's put some wishes out into the physical media universe for titles on formats that they do not yet exist on.
Dude, I got a good one. I'm excited.
I wish
for a 4K of Outland.
I wish for a 4K Criterion of the Royal Tenenbaums.
Tenenbaums, huh?
Tenenbaums. The Royal Tenenbaums is my favorite Wes Anderson movie.
Probably the right answer.
Speaking of R-rated theatrical experiences in the late 90s, early 2000s, my sister took me to see The Royal Tenenbaums when it came out in the theater, and I think I was too young to understand it, but I was so blown away by just the kind of surface level style of it, the Wes Anderson of it. It blew my mind, and it's a movie that's been fun to revisit over the years because it's in relation to like all his other work since, or a lot of it, which has utilized a lot of special effects and bigger budgets, digital stuff, a lot of like changing aspect ratios and what have you. Like the Royal Tenenbaums is actually much smaller scale visually and like production scope style than I remembered it being. I remember kind of revisiting it recently and being surprised by that, but in a very charming way. I really like how epic and personal it is at the same time.
You know, a lot of his later movies to me don't really feel like anything. They feel like style over substance every time. And this movie is the exact opposite of that. I think there's actually a lot to say in this movie, and it's a fun, interesting watch.
Yeah, it's one of my all-time favorite movies and would be so beautiful in HDR especially. So
sure.
Yeah. Okay, so Outland. All I really know of Outland, Sam, is that when you and I lived together in Los Angeles with several other roommates, we had the novelization of Outland on our mantle.
Yep.
In this house that was just like a debaucherous house of 20-year-old boys.
There was the copy. There was a DVD copy of Outland as well in the house. This is a Sean Connery movie from 1981, and The tagline of this movie is, "On Jupiter's moon, he is the only law." And it's a picture of Sean Connery with his shotgun across his chest. Outland's directed by Peter Hyams of End of Days fame.
Hell yeah.
Our man, the myth, the legend. This guy, knocking off Time Cop, Sudden Death, The Relic, End of Days. Outland. I barely remember Outland as a movie. My brother and I rented this movie from Blockbuster one time and didn't have time to watch it. And I then convinced my dad that it was my brother Ben's favorite movie. And so he bought it for him for Christmas. And I remember Ben opening it and going what the fuck is this? And then we watched it, and it became this joke where anytime we saw something Outland related, we would buy it and send it to one another. So that novelization that was at the Corinth house, Kurt, was actually because I bought it for him for Christmas, I think on Amazon for $1, in the used and new section.
This novelization?
Holy shit. Hell yeah. Oh my God. Alan Dean Foster wrote that one. That's who wrote the Thing novelization.
Oh, wow. Sam, you can have this back. I don't need this. I don't know why I ended up with it, but
I'll take it, man. I got the soundtrack on vinyl floating around here somewhere. I would love a version of this movie, a big box from Arrow.
Is it awesome?
A fun Yes. I mean, it from what I remember, this movie's a lot of fun and it's really cool and it's way better than the joke of the movie that my brother and I liked so much. It's way better than it has any right to be.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, I've never seen it because I've never taken the possibility of it seriously based on our weird history with the
without a doubt
novelization. But I'd love to see this.
It would be, again, it'd be a great, Arrow big box. If Vinegar Syndrome wants to throw it out there, somebody, I will take it.
Okay, that's it for another episode of Physical Therapy. While you're here, leave us a review, give us a rating, give us a follow on Instagram at PTMoviePod. All that stuff is so helpful. As always, a big thank you to Patrick Laban for our music and to Kimberly, who is asleep, for producing this show for us. Sam, we did it. 3 less movies in our shame piles.
Yeah, what's the next topic you want to hear us cover in a shame pile? Let us know.
Let us know.
And remember, get this fucking arm off me.
I would do a monkey noise, but nobody wants to hear that.